Hey, this is Max. I'm back with another CSR2 video. So tonight it's the ACS8, this season's Prestige Cup car. Also, this season's disappointment for a T4 5-star because it's not that good. In fact, it's not even good enough really to deal with Tempest 3 at all, so we can forget that idea. It's pretty slow even when fully maxed, maxing out somewhere near a 12.3 something 39-ish dyno, and it's also hard to drive. So all around, kind of a miserable car to have. Plus, it doesn't really tune, and that's kind of an issue with this car because what happens with it is no matter what upgrades you put on it, the only two things that really tune to increase Evo at all would be nitrous and tire. Trans stays here. No matter you've had stage 6 trans, stage 5 trans, whether you add other stage 6s or not, it stays right there. That's the best tune, which makes this car basically whatever you end up with dynoing in almost near default setting is what the car will do. So that's pretty bad. Nitrous is the best S6 for this car. And one nitrous by itself will get you all the way to race 28, which I'm actually up to. Race 28 is where you get a stage 6 part. None of these other ones by itself will get you to race 28. So that's something to keep in mind. Without Nitrous S6, you cannot get to beat race 28. The good S6s here, and I shouldn't say any of them are super good other than Nitrous because they're pretty even, but let's point out the bad. Turbo intake are generally the two worst ones for any car, and in this case, they don't disappoint. Intake is still the worst out of the batch. However, in this case also, tire isn't that impressive, whereas engine, trans, body are actually pretty decent. Turbo, even though it's not as good as engine, isn't a terrible one either. So that it's pretty evenly spread out, but nitrous is the key. Nitrous drops a nice almost 5/10 off at the time, allowing you to hit some impressive times with. And if you have nitrous and you have it in combination with most of these other S6s except for intake and possibly tire, you can beat the Prestige Cup. So the Cup only requires, for the most part, two S6s to do if you have nitrous. If you don't have nitrous, generally 3 in combination will do the job, unless you happen to get tire, intake, and turbo. You might be stuck. So overall, it's not a difficult Prestige Cup. Let's take a look right now with the tune for 1S6, and that, whoops, that must be no S6. So this is stage 5 only. So stage 5 only, actually, you can tune to about a 1403. Again, no touching the transmission. You're only tuning nitrous and tire to get your best time, which it's 14030 is the best I can get. I'm not going to waste too much time here trying to tweak out that one point, but car's not that easy to drive, so it doesn't really make it easier to do that. So race 28 you can do. It's a 13.6 something, and you can do it with a nitrous by itself. And I'm going to show you in a second because I am up to race 28. Now let's say you have one stage 6 or two stage 6. You made it up this far. And you know that if you have two stage 6s that barely makes it to race 28, you're going to need another stage 6 that's not a duplicate to get past it. We all know from experience that this game loves to give you duplicates. So let's make a theoretical duplicate here. Okay, I have all 6, obviously, but let's say if I only had, right now, turbo and engine. Let's see what the game gives you when you beat this stage 6 race. If it gives me a turbo or an engine, it's a duplicate. And if you get a duplicate, you're going to have to start waiting on those crates, because the crates are the final salvation to getting a better stage 6. Or if you pull 7,000 Brownskis like I did, that works too. And Nitrous by itself, right on through race 28. I can tell you right now, I did the experiments before I took this on, and I lost this race first just to find out what the time was. To get that 13.635, you're not going to be able to get it with the other stage sixes with just one. You really do need Nitrous to make it through. So I got a pretty good one. This is body. It's a nice stage six to get. So here's the good news. If I had Nitrous and got this far and I just got that body, I can make it all the way through. In fact, I'm going to go install that body now and show you. Now again, I'm running full fusion. If you're not running full fusion, your mileage will vary because without fusions, you'll be a little bit slower. Is it going to be substantially slower? Probably not unless you're missing a ton of them. Each fusion gives like 6-7 Evo points depending on which part you're getting. So you can sort of see that each 10 points or so is like, I would say like 100th or two. So let's say we do this. We dyno here at 548, 13,296. Then I just artificially lower it a little bit, get the Evo down. Let's lower it 10 points. Maybe this way it would be easier to do that. Oh, no, it went up. Okay, well, that's good news. So my tune wasn't quite there yet, but let's lower it down to 436. 536, I'm sorry. So 13,321 from a 13,296. So every 10 Evo points, you're looking at about 300s, 200s. Not that much of a difference, but they add up. If you have 100 Evo points off, then it's pretty substantial. So I just saw we can get to like a 551. Let's get to that point. And that should run 13,292 or around there. The final cup time is a 13,441. I already learned about that this morning. There was a crazy glitch this morning with race 22 that has since been fixed. So you shouldn't have a problem getting up to about race 25 on stage 5 only. By the time you get to race 26 and 7, you will definitely need a stage 6. And for race 28, you need Nitrous stage 6 if that's the only one you have. And again, that's with full fusions. If you have one of the other stage 6s and you don't have enough fusions, you may get stuck as early as race 25. So just keep that in mind, that you will need fusions and you will need more than one stage 6 to get to the end. The good news is you probably won't need 4 stage 6s. At the worst, maybe 3, I think, would be what you're ending up needing to get through the cup to the end. So I'm trying to drive as well as I can here. And again, I'm not the best at shifting and launching, but gets the job done. Right, 13,345, 13,458. So already with more than one race to go. I believe the next race will be the final. Yep. So race 29, you're already down to 13,458. And race 30, which is the final one, I'm going to tackle it again with Nitrous and body. Doable. Definitely doable. And unless I screw up the driving really bad, I should be able to get this. Again, Nitrous seems to work best in 4th gear for this car. You get your best time out of it that way. And the shifting, again, it just requires you to be, don't bounce the needle, but don't shift too early and you should do fine. And again, my dyno is actually 13.3 something, so I'm not running that great, but it was enough to get me through the final run. And there you go. There's your Prestige Cup. Fortunately, I think this season, the Prestige Cup isn't that difficult. With the 2 stage 6s, depending on which 2 you get, you should be able to get pretty close to the end. 3 stage 6s will definitely get you there. If you have enough bronze keys, you can always pull them. In order to max this car out this morning, like I said, I pulled about 7,000 of these, which gave me 2 times of the loyalty. Plus, I got 2 stage 6s out of the actual crates, which surprised me, but it actually happened. So that's 4, and I had 3 since the IA season. That's how this car became maxed. The Fusions are not that bad to get. If you're waiting on Fusions, I suggest you to just buy the M235i. Part of the reason being it's cheap. Secondly, because it delivers a lot quicker than the Tier 3 car, which then jumps to about a 200,000 per car. You could buy 2 or almost 3 M235i's for the price of one M4. Why wouldn't you do that? Buy 3 of these and strip them. You're better off. So that's the way I would get the Fusions, and that it's actually not going to take long to deliver. I think there are only a few hours to deliver each. So over the span of the next 4 or 5 days, you can easily deliver enough of them to generate the Fusions you're probably missing. Tier 4 cars don't use as many as Tier 5, so that's all good news. So what's my verdict on this car? Well, my verdict is that it's probably one of the worst Tier 4 5 stars I've seen. Why? Because it doesn't tune. That's one of my issues with it. This car does not tune much, and you can't do much with it, even if you know how to tune. Now, if you don't know how to tune, maybe it's not so bad, because you just leave trans here, you tweak nitrous and tire a little bit, and you're done. The real issue is that it's such a slow car, even when maxed. Even when I put everything back in, stage 6 wise, and tune it to the best I can, this is not a car that gives you very impressive numbers. And if this was 2 years ago and this car came out, I would say it's on par with the other 5-star Tier 4s. But it's not 2 years ago. We have the Rocket Bunny Sylvia. We have the 4-star NSX. And they both destroy this car in the half-mile times. They both run better. They both tune better. So this is just kind of like a miserable 5-star for what it is. And that's a disappointment. I was hoping for a lot better out of this car than what it can give. And that kind of answers the unasked question, which is it any good for Tempest? Short answer, no, it's not. Don't waste it for Tempest 3. You're not going to make it on any of it. Tempest 2, yes, it can do it. Tempest 2, it can do. Tempest 1, no problem. Okay, so if you already built this car for Prestige Cup and you happen to have a bunch of parts and you're still back on Tempest 1, hey, use it by all means. It'll do the job. But Tempest 3, no way. Tempest 3, it's out. In the end, it's going to be a dust collector. Once this cup is over, the next time you'll get used is next season, in the beginning of the season for that one crew cup where you need to use last season's Prestige Cup car. And after that, I don't foresee putting any more mileage on this car. And that is kind of the end of the issue with this car, is that despite being a 5-star, despite having all this potential based on the stars, it's just not that great a car to use for anything at all. It can win in live, just like any other car. And one thing I do want to tell you about live racing with a new car that you acquire is this. The first 10-15 races, when you bring one of these cars in, especially a new one like this, the computer lobbies you pretty favorably, meaning you can go into a live lobby and actually do okay. I'm not saying you're going to destroy anybody, but your car will be competitive for at least a bit. Once you race it for a while and the computer recognizes the average time you're running with it, the next time you come into the lobby in a day or so after 15 wins, you're going to get adjusted. Now, some cars adjust less than others, but I can tell you getting adjusted happens, and you can all of a sudden find, hey, this car was winning for a few days with before, all of a sudden doesn't win. Is that because you were winning, or is it just because the computer adjusts? I don't know. Okay, I can tell you though that it's going to happen. So I see a lot of times with PC Cups, when it's over, you see a bunch of these cars in the lobbies and everybody's racing them, and then in a week you don't see them anymore. On the other hand, this guy here, this car, this is still a good car. This was a PC Cup car last season. This is still one of the best 4-stars I've seen in some time, and that's definitely worth building up to full. Or was that 2 seasons ago? I can't remember. I think it's 2 seasons ago. So here I am. I'm gonna try to get this car. I'm taking on this guy here in live the BMW, and come on, you can do it. No, you can't. Come on. No. All right. So didn't shift very well. So I could have ran a little better. That was probably pretty miserable. Yeah, but you know what? He's running better than my best run so far. And probably the best run I'm ever going to get. So it's not going to do much. And that's maxed. Okay, max tune, max car. Didn't do very well. So again, I don't see this car being in live all the time in the future. I just don't see it being that useful. And that kind of sums up the whole thing with this car, is that you got to use it this season if you got it, because it's Prestige Cup. Good news, easy. Two stage 6, maybe 3, you definitely get the job done. You use it once next season. Outside of that, not very useful. But it is a pretty car. If you were to give me this car in real life, I would take it in a heartbeat and I would love it. It's a beautiful car. It's unique. It's got the cool doors. It's a hybrid. So, hey man, I'm going green too. So, in real life, this is a pretty cool car. And ACS is a good tuning company that's reputable and well known. And they're good with German cars. So an ACS tuned i8 in real life is awesome. I would love to have it. But in this game, I'm sorry to say, it's pretty miserable. Well, I'm sure you'll have your thoughts on it. And please feel free to comment. Tell me I'm wrong in certain aspects. You may find the car to be really good in live. You may find the car to be a lot easier to drive than I think. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you agree with me, I'd like to know too, just to know that my opinions are somewhat on point. Again, I put these videos up pretty regularly, so please subscribe to the channel so you can get notifications when these videos go up. And finally, and as always, thank you for watching the video.